Today we're talking about back floating. Specifically, one of our community members wrote us asking for help because their legs continuously sink when they're trying to back float. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you the 3 levers that will maximize your back float so that you can make sure you never sink again. Let's begin.
Lever number 1 is comfort. And I think there are really 2 main categories of comfort that our new swimmers have to be familiar with before they're really comfortable floating on their back. Number 1 is comfort with getting water in their ears. And category number 2 is just the comfort of really looking up instead of looking down into the pool. Step 1 of gaining comfort with water in our ears is just alternating, dipping our head in the water side to side. All right, and that process looks like this. How did it go? Were you 100% comfortable getting water in your ears? If the answer is yes, then I invite you to progress on to the next step. And if you're not 100% comfortable yet, I want you to stay right here and continue practicing before you progress on to step number 2. And that process looks like this. I want you to place both hands on a wall, and I would like for you to bring your feet up so that your shins and really your knees and your ankles are kind of lined up on the wall. And then we're just gently going to dip down a little bit and gently dip our head backwards. And I want you to start with just 3 to 5 seconds before lifting your head back up and then gently tapping on your ears to try to clear out any of that water. And the goal here, if you're 100% comfortable, is to build up to 20 or 30 seconds of exposure with our ears getting wet in this position. And category number 2 is just getting comfortable facing the sky or the ceiling if you're in an indoor pool, because it's a much different experience than having our face down in the water. So what I want you to do in step number 1 in gaining comfort with looking up at the ceiling or the sky is just to find a corner portion of the wall. And we are going to put one hand on the wall, take a deep breath, and slowly allow ourselves to move into a back float with the support of the wall. And I just want us to gain valuable exposure on our back without looking to let go. The only goal here is to be 100% comfortable. All right, I got to throw in a little bit of a pivot here, which I didn't have written in our script today, but I realized it's one of the main questions that I'm asked all the time by our new students who are learning how to back float, which is, Coach Jeff, how the heck do I get back down? All right, I am in my back float, but I feel like I'm just going to stay here forever because I'm really nervous about how to stand back up. So let me show you the 2 simple steps that you're going to take so that you can gain comfort floating on your back, knowing that you know the technique to stand back up. Number 1, we slowly start looking at our toes, which shifts our body position from horizontal to more vertical. And number 2, we start slowly exhaling out our air, which will help our body be a little bit less buoyant in the water. Are you struggling back floating? You may be watching this video after trying your local swim program, which is short classes with large groups and generally don't give you the individualized attention that you are looking for. If that's the case, we have a solution. Come check out our Adult Learn to Swim community and learn more about our intensive 6-day in-person retreats here in beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico. Can't wait to see you there. So there are 2 really important aspects of back floating technique that are essential in order for us to find our natural back floating position, which is the ultimate goal of back floating. Number 1 is our head position. We want to be looking slightly behind us when we go into that back float position.
But be careful, because we don't want to look too far back, because unfortunately water will immediately go up your nose.
Yeah, I promise you don't want to do that. So if that happens to you, I want you to take just 3 to 5 minutes as a break so you can fully recover before going back into the movement and continuing your practice. All right, and one of the more common mistakes that our new swimmers make is they tend to want to look at our toes,
which will immediately make our body start sinking to the bottom of the pool.
Number 2, we want to make sure that we take a very, very deep breath. As I've mentioned in almost all of my videos, more air in our lungs means more buoyancy in the water. Now, watch what happens when I release all of my air out of my lungs. Watch how quickly I sink down to the bottom. It's crazy. And the third portion of that I briefly mentioned up front is just our arm position. We just want our arms straight out to the side like this, really, really relaxed. And you could play a little bit with them coming up a little higher, but I really don't think it's beneficial for them to go much lower than 100%, what is this, horizontal? So I think it's either here or maybe slightly above that, but we don't want to go below that, okay? And the final aspect of technique, and a common question that I'm asked by new students, especially if they're coming to us from a different program, most likely a local in-person swim school, is what do I do with my core? Do I have to flex my core? Do I have to push it up? Do I have to arch my back? Like, what are the things I have to do with my core? And the answer to that is none of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. I just don't think now is the time for us to focus on that, so we're going to place that to the side. And now let's talk about lever number 3, which is our exposure. And really what exposure means is how many repetitions and how much practice are we getting before we really fine-tune and perfect the back float. All right, so what I would like you to do is every time you go to the pool, I would like for you to practice back floating a minimum of 20 to 30 times. All right, so long as you're comfortable and we're not getting any water in our nose. What if you're 100% comfortable, your technique is perfect, doing everything I just mentioned so far, and you've had the number of repetitions and exposure that you need, but your legs are still sinking? What gives? The answer to that is some of us just aren't able to achieve a static back float, or a back float where we're not moving, where our arms and legs or our whole body is up on top of the water. All right. And generally that's because we carry a lot of our muscle in our legs, and muscle is more dense relative to water, so it tends to sink more. But that doesn't mean that we have to give up hope. There is a solution, and the solution tends to be we have to add in movement in the water. The more movement that we have, the more likely it is our legs will rise right up to the surface. So remember, our goal is to maximize our comfort, maximize our technique, and gain the necessary amount of exposure so that you can find your perfect back float. And I would love to hear from you. How did it go? Leave a comment in the comment section now. You guys, thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions about your Learn to Swim journey, come join our Adult Learn to Swim community. Ask your question, and I will make a video just like this for you so that you can continue progressing in your swimming journey. Remember, every adult is born with the ability to swim. All we have to do is learn how to relax enough to unlock the properties of water to support that journey. Guys, I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you so much.